Well, hello everybody. My name is Derek Newton. I've spent over 25 years within IBM working on the DevOps side of things, and I'm just about to be joining Datamaster as their general manager for Europe. And what we're going to do is speaking over the next 15, 20 minutes. I'm joined with my great colleagues of mine, Al Wagner, I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years. And we're going to talk to you about value stream management. So Al, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Derek said, my name's Al Wagner. I'm a solution architect, DevOps evangelist, and I've been really talking about value stream management for the last couple of years, trying to help companies move forward with this great new capability.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Al. So tell me, I suppose the most obvious question of all is, so value stream management, what is it?
Well, it's really, to understand value stream management, let's break it down a little bit. Let's first talk about what is value. And I like to look at value from value add, meaning that something a customer or an end user is willing to pay for, and then non-value add. So as a business, there's certain things I need to do in order to be in business, in order to meet regulatory requirements, in order to deliver high quality, in order to deliver high level of security, in order to deliver faster. So those are perhaps non-value add to the client, but they're definitely value add to the business. And then the third bucket is kind of the wasteful areas, the interruptions, the meetings, the unplanned work, the things that impede your ability to deliver either business value add or customer value add. So that's the first distinction I'd like to make. Then we got to look at, okay, so if we're considering value and we're trying to make sure we deliver value to the client, then what is a value stream? Well, in my opinion, a value stream starts with a trigger, perhaps a customer request for a new feature, or or it could be an internal value stream where the team wants to be able to deliver faster or make some improvement. Well, there's a trigger. There's something that initiates this, and then that value proceeds through a set of steps that make up the entire journey to value, or the value stream, and then there's an outcome. And right now, there's a lot of energy behind managing the value stream, or the development value stream, because we're all focused on moving ideas through a pipeline and getting them into the hands of the end user as quickly as possible so that they get the value. Hence where we're into this, we've kind of attached value stream management to the DevOps pipeline right now. But it's not only limited to DevOps. It's, if you're waterfall or agile, it's not tied to one particular methodology. Most people are applying it in the DevOps arena right now.
Yeah, and I must have been out from the people I've been speaking to. Again, it's a very similar thing. And actually, maybe some people looking at it, but have they really sort of deployed it? Probably not. But I mean, as you say, what we're seeing here is something is happening that's driving an action within the organization, and let's make sure that action is acted on as quickly as possible. And I guess that's where you're coming from.
Right. And your comment about people are looking at it, and some have adopted or moving in that direction, or they're there's a lot of misunderstandings or incorrect understandings of what value stream management is all about. And hopefully we're going to cover that in this conversation. Now, the one thing I would add is, within an organization, we're not just talking about development value streams. Everything is a value stream. Everything has a trigger, something that initiates a series of steps to occur where there's a positive outcome. So I've encountered organizations in having this value stream management discussion that we move beyond the development value stream, and maybe we look at an HR value stream or the operational value stream. So in my head, everything is a value stream, but right now we are focused on the development value stream because it's typically software is being consumed by these other value streams to help optimize that flow. It's software is removing a manual process step and making that journey to value faster. So that's why, in my opinion, we're focused on development value streams, and particularly within the topic of DevOps. So,
yeah, I think that's very fair to say. I mean, as we see, there's a huge amount of automation overall, and funny enough, the I was in a hotel this morning trying to get myself some breakfast, and I noticed they had a really inefficient process. So again, I suppose it's a bit like what you're saying. My trigger there was I was hungry. My outcome was breakfast, but actually the process was very poor. And there were a lot of hotel guests there today that weren't very happy. And of course, that's left a bad taste in the mouth for that hotel as an organization. But as you say, how do we apply that to something that we both understand, which is the development process?
Right. And really, that's where we're getting to this whole value stream management. It's looking at the people and the process and the technology and mapping that and capturing data from those different sources to optimize and visualize and measure our ability to deliver that business value or that value add to the client. And again, in the development value stream world, it's through heterogeneous software delivery pipelines from that trigger until the release of that value in a production environment. So we kind of, to answer the what is value stream management, we kind of walk through it. Let's understand or categorize the different activities we're asked to do. Are they value add? Are they business value add? Or is it wasteful that should be eliminated?
Yeah. And I suppose, as you say, to also understand why it should be eliminated. And I suppose the beauty is you can understand the impact of the elimination as well.
Right. And then if we, apply that, everything's a value stream. Now let's drill into the development value stream and focus on capturing data and looking across our organization, people, processes, and technology to understand how we are contributing to delivering business value.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're talking about value stream management, but I've heard a lot of people talking about value stream mapping. So help me here, Al. What's the difference between the two?
Okay, well, let's take a look at what is value stream mapping. So value stream mapping comes back from Lean, right? Where we looked at or analyzed or mapped out that process from, again, that trigger until the outcome, and what are all the steps that happen, and what are the time slices between each one of those steps. So if I was to expand this out, very simply, we've got a trigger, we've got an input into a value stream that I've defined as the process, and then there's an output where there's a production release. But let's expand it out. Because when I do these exercises with a development organization, I want to know, the business, how are you handling the customer requests? How are they going into some sort of a backlog or a queue? How are we planning out our various releases? And then tell me, how long am I spending in planning? What are the various steps that I perform as part of the planning stage? What are the artifacts that come out of that planning stage? And we look at it from a value point of view. We also look at it from what is the wait time? And then what is the actual cycle time of that stage? And when we drill into a stage, we look at, okay, within that, let's do an example. Let's say planning, the cycle time was 5 days. We'll keep it simple. How much of that 5 days are you actually spending on planning? Well, maybe it's 3.5 days because there's interruptions, there's unplanned work, there's meetings, there's the stuff that may fall into that MUDA, the waste area, or it may be business value add. But it's, typically that 1.5 days of non-value add activity is not going to be delivering value add to the customer. It's going to be something else. So then we kind of look at a process efficiency of saying, okay, our planning, we are efficiency at what percentage? And we do that on every stage or phase of that pipeline until the end. So at the end of a mapping exercise, you're going to understand your wait times and your cycle times, the artifacts. Perhaps you're going to understand, efficiency of each one of these stages. But that's a point in time picture.
Right.
That's and these are quite involved sessions. They could be days to weeks. There's consulting firms that help organizations do these mapping exercises, but it's not a one-time only type of activity. I need to look at it because I go through one mapping exercise and I find a place in my pipeline that is slow, and I take corrective action to improve that. well, then my data is off and that bottleneck has probably moved someplace else. So now I got to go find it.
Which is often what we see, isn't it?
Right.
That's often the challenge is, yeah. And from what you're saying, also, I think what's quite important there is you start to set yourself a benchmark, because a lot of organizations, I think me and you have spoken to, is sometimes they know things are bad, but they don't know how bad.
Right. Everybody, wants to get better. We've been doing that for years in software development, right? Always chasing the optimized flow and being the fastest to bring value to the client.
Yeah.
And this is where value stream management is really taking us towards, because the mapping side of it is, as I mentioned, when we do these mapping exercises, we have to look across the organization. Who are all the people that participate in this value stream? Okay, let's bring them into a room and let's start talking about what actually happens in planning, what actually happens in design, what actually happens in development, what actually happens in build, what actually happens in any kind of a review process, before the build, what happens in deployment, what happens in testing, what happens in release. And we bring all these great minds together, and it's a storytelling. It's their understanding of what's really going on. So it's opinion. It's, we draw things on whiteboards. We use Post-its to try to capture this information. And what we're trying to do quickly is highlight waste. Where management, what we're doing is we're connecting. We take a value stream management platform and we connect it to those various sources of truth. Sources of truth like my planning tool, like my version control system, like my review system, like my build system, like my deployment automation system, my quality management system, my release management, my operational piece. And I try to bring all that data back into this platform where I can make it visible. If we look at waste, right, we got 6 or 7 tools or capabilities I mentioned: a planning tool, a version control system, a testing tool, a deployment. Those are all sources of truth. And I could find this information, but I got to visit those 6 different repositories and try to assemble that data together into one control plane.
Yeah.
Where a value stream management platform brings that to me.
And I think what I like about what you're saying, of course, and this is the fundamental difference, is you're starting to apply some discipline, some rigor, some data to actually back up decisions that are being made. Because we all know we've seen many of the decisions that are made that are based more on gut feel, opinion, loudest voice in the room. And I think from what you're describing here, the beauty is we're starting to add credible data to a decision to help not only help that decision, justify the decision, but also prove why the decision was made in the first place.
Right. And that's the critical piece of this, right? Or a key point of this whole thing is we're capturing this data. Okay, so it tells us that we're slow here. We make an improvement. How do I measure the impact of that change? Or and was it an improvement? Maybe we figured out a way not to do something, right? Because there's value in learning from your mistakes or understanding ways not to do things. So that's why having that access to data and in short order, not having to reconvene in 3 months and do another value stream mapping exercise, but data that's going to start to give me trends. So if I make a change, or if I release a new function or feature to the client, or some kind of an improvement, what is the impact? Because measuring is key, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but the spirit of DevOps and the 3 guiding principles, right? One of them is optimize the system as a whole so that you can accelerate feedback through continuous learning and experimentation. Those 3 guiding principles still fit within value stream management, because our goal is to look at the system as a whole so that we can accelerate feedback, or look at the delivery of that value through our process as a whole so that we can understand whether we made the right decision or not, and do it quickly by continuously trying to improve through experimentation.
And also, of course, the beauty of this approach, and what I like, and certainly the customers that I've spoken to that adopt this approach, is this very process reduces waste, because what you're doing is you're looking at the data in real time. You're not having to take people away from valuable pieces of work to look at these things, so you can see it in real time. And I think that's certainly a very powerful shift from, as you say, from mapping to management.
Well, and you know, to that point, and you just triggered something. So let's look at this mapping exercise, right? I said it could be 1 day to 5 days. Now that's business value add, but a client really doesn't want to pay for that.
Yeah, fair.
But if I can have a value stream management platform that is capturing this data for me and providing some predictive insights or AI and machine learning capabilities to help me pinpoint where there is a potential problem for me to investigate, that saved me having to pull all those people together, looking at analyzing my process across 1 to 5 days in a management value stream management platform. I'm getting that data in real time, and you know, there's not nearly as much effort as coordinating, and people are away from their jobs for a while to do that mapping. I'm getting that same kind of data very, very quickly. And you know, it moves it into a highly iterative inspect, adapt, because you're getting that data very, very quickly. You're getting insight into what's really going on, and you can take corrective action to improve or understand that we're delivering value to the clients because we're measuring the outcomes. And that's the critical piece, is the measurement of the outcome.
So from obviously we've been discussing around the development side of things, but by the sound of it, this is actually much more than just the development teams. This is benefit to executives, other people within the organization, so who ultimately can benefit from this approach.
Oh, there's so many. So if I kind of go down a list here, if I look at the executives and the product owners, you know, so often I have had people share with me that, you know, I got a big bag of money from my boss and we wanted to do these types of things. And then when it's actually released, the boss said, okay, but you know, what am I getting out of this? Or it doesn't quite hit the mark of, so, you know, again, we want to optimize that flow, but we also want to link these technical investments back to these business outcomes, right? What is the ROI on my investment? Because in IT, we know that these budgets are not infinite. And there's many, many teams within an organization all competing for a level of funding to exist. Well, as an executive, I would like insight into where do I want to put my money to maximize my ROI that's going to solve the problems that I'm concerned with. You know, the market price, revenue, customer sats, new signings, E to R. You know, what is my revenue versus expense? Can I lower the cost? Am I sure that I am compliant? Do I have sufficient governance in place to make sure that this company is not going to be a headline in the paper?
Yeah.
So again, having access to that data and being able to track across the different value stream teams and the activities that they're doing and the work items or the epics, the features that they're delivering, what is the business outcome? Yeah, that's critical.
That's very fair. Like you said, and I think there's a lot more realization in the world now of, actually, you look at the amount of organizations that software now underpins absolutely everything. You know, it's in our products, it's in the processes, it's in everything that we do. And certainly, like you say, is what we're doing here is we're giving a business value to every activity that's occurring, because software was often seen as a bit of a dark art, a bit of a cost. But actually, as we know, effective software delivery is actually a differentiator in the market now.
Exactly. And the companies that are leveraging data to make better decisions on where to invest to improve their market share or take competitive advantage, that's what's really key about this, is understanding the value that the development teams are delivering, but measuring it and justifying their existence and the level of spend against the business outcomes. So what we're trying to do with this is help the product owners and the business executives understand what the return on that investment is. The other side of it is, as a product owner, I talked about many different value streams. So software is one piece of go-to-market, right? It's if I can optimize my development value stream and I can quickly get that feature ready to go to market, but my marketing team isn't there or my sellers aren't able to talk about it. I can have the best mousetrap in the world available, but if nobody knows about it, is it value?
That's a fair point.
So as a product owner, perhaps I want to look across my development stream and go, okay, this epic is really important, or this feature is really important to me. Here's all the work items that are in progress to deliver that feature. Am I going to make my date? Because if I've got a marketing budget in place and I've got a sales enablement program in place, but I miss that date on the delivery of that value, I got to take some corrective action. I've got to bring these three teams together to make sure that we are on time. So value stream management also gives me visibility into, am I going to make that date so that I can take adjustments? So the value stream management capability to the product owner allows me to look over the features and functions that are coming as part of my product, and am I going to make that date aligned with all the other business activities associated to that release?
That's actually really good. Yeah, that's a really good point there. I mean, let's be honest, we've all seen in the past the danger of a product being announced a little bit earlier than it should have been, where maybe some vital elements of the development process are actually missing. But as you say, it's the pressure and it's the commitments to the market that people need to deliver to.
Right. So hopefully value stream management can help give a better view of the overall business flow of a feature through the pipeline and is it ready to go to production or out to the clients? From the app dev manager, again, having this data and looking at, and it's not a witch hunt to compare one team against another team. It's more to understand, what is team A doing better than team B, and can I extract a best practice from that team and apply it to the other team to help them improve?
And also, of course,
I've seen a lot of these data points that are being captured. Some of the intent is to weaponize, and that's not good from an employee morale point of view. Plus, the other side, if an employee knows how they're being measured, they'll game the system. Right?
Yes, I worked in a call center many years ago, Al. I found ways to increase my talk time, but maybe I shouldn't confess to that. But yeah, I think there was a point that we touched on earlier as well, which is you don't necessarily apply the same logic to every team. Like you say, team A may be a lot faster than team B, but it doesn't mean that team B should be as fast as team A. There may be different reasons why. And again,
absolutely, the technologies they're working with, the platforms they're delivering to, the complexity of the changes that are involved, but at least you're going to have some data that will spark a conversation to understand what are those challenges, and maybe the best practices from team A or team A techniques will not work on team B. But if team B is an area that you want to improve on because there's business pressure or there's business value that can come out of them, then you've got some data to have that conversation.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And also what I like here is, you've highlighted also very importantly is that the main beneficiary are actually the customers and the users.
Absolutely. So I'm going to finish off on the team leads and members here. So if we bring all this data together, and I said before that one of the guiding principles of DevOps is continuous learning and experimentation. So this data helps the dev team and the team members, or the team lead and the team members, identify experiments they may want to run to improve. Now, if we can get everything work together, if the business knows what the customer is asking for, and there's a new competitive opportunity or there's a new market space they want to explore, and they can bring the dev managers together, and we're optimizing the flow, and we've aligned our teams by value streams, and everybody has got a lot of energy behind this. The target is the end user or the customer.
Yeah.
And if everything is working right, the true value is delivered to that user through better software, better quality, higher levels of security, faster response to requests. One of the challenges is I find an issue with the product. Well, what is the ability for that team to turn that defect into a fix and get that to the hands of the customer? So understanding the value stream and managing that defect through to value being back to the customer, we're getting faster enhancements or new features that they've requested through some social mechanism or through some survey response, but we also get faster issue resolution, which means happier customers, which then translates into revenue and brand loyalty, and them telling their friends what a great experience, which only contributes to the business owner who is kept up at night and focused on revenue, customer sat, quality, security, all those different things. So it's very cyclical because value stream management contributes across so many different personas in an organization with the end goal of delighting that end user or that customer.
No, that makes a lot of sense. But so from guessing then, I mean, we talked about and mentioned DevOps a lot. So are we saying that value stream management is essentially the new DevOps?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
DevOps is still, I use the guiding principles. DevOps still very much has that creative front end, right? Some people refer to it as the fuzzy front end, the planning, backlog review. What am I going to be including in this particular release? We do some coding, and then we hit the commit, right? And the pull request or review step. That turns into the very repetitive side.
Yeah.
Because we can automate that through integration tools across our delivery pipeline. And we use things like DORA or flow metrics to start capturing lead time and deployment frequency or change failure rates or mean time to recovery or flow velocity, flow time, efficiency, and load. And those are giving us our DevOps KPIs. How quickly are we able to take that idea? So lead time, if we look at it from when was that idea identified until when it's in production, and then what is the cycle time is maybe captured from when work starts until that work is in production. What is our actual cycle time? And we focus on that continuous improvement through experimentation and learning. What I'm saying is value stream management kind of wraps it.
Right.
Wraps around the DevOps infinity loop, where we are now linking these value stream metrics, the different KPIs associated to the delivery team, and tying them back to business outcomes.
It's giving context, isn't it? It's giving context. It's starting to say, well, actually, the reasons that we are doing these things is because they're driving business value, and here's the evidence to show that. Here's our justification of the work that we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And we can measure that through, customer NPS scores, new customer registrations. What is our revenue versus targets? And then linking that back to, okay, what saw this bump in customer NPS? Well, maybe we did a focus on quality and we took great effort in dropping the number of known issues in production or in the GA code. Well, that could, delight customers. And then that really helps with the business saying, okay, I spent some money on improving how we do testing or how we do development, and we've dealt with some debt, got rid of some of these issues, and the customers have responded very positively. So I think it's not a value stream management is a new DevOps. Value stream management complements DevOps.
Okay.
It helps us link. It helps us link these development team activities and show the business leaders that there's value, and here is how these individual teams are contributing to the business by linking their improvements to business outcomes.
And I remember from a recent conversation that we had, and you've highlighted, we've all heard about the SMART objectives. But remember, you were saying is the beauty of value stream management is the toughest one of all, which is achievable, is that actually you can start to determine if something is actually achievable.
Right. So, we talked about this earlier.
Hmm.
Let's say our business objective, from our business objective, our objective is we want to increase customer satisfaction levels through an NPS score.
Mhm.
We develop a hypothesis as a business. I want to bump my customer NPS score by 10 points over the next 3 months.
Mhm.
Specific, it's measurable, it's hopefully achievable, it's relevant, and we time bound it to 3 months. Now we feed that. So now the development team says, what experiments can we run that we believe is going to help contribute to bumping that NPS score? Is it improvement to quality? Is it a new feature or function that's required by the mass of our customers are asking for? We start to make decisions based on that hypothesis. And then as we release those and we measure, quality improvements or security improvements or new features and functions that have been released, how did that tie to that NPS score? Did we achieve, or maybe it dropped down? We just learned a way not to do. That experiment was, we failed fast.
Well,
and we failed safely. And we learned from it.
I'm always mindful of WD-40. There were 39 attempts to get WD-40 to market.
Yeah.
That's why it's called WD-40. A nicer number than
WD-40. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So 39 failures. But look, this is a fantastic area, and me and you, I know we could talk about this forever. But I suppose the most obvious question for those that are watching, hopefully, is, well, look, how do I get started with value stream management?
Well, that's always a challenge, right? Because people are looking at it they want fast time to value.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking on a new technology. I know I have a problem. Help me understand where I need to focus my attention to get better. Now, if we look at an organization, it's very hierarchical, and the lines of communication are typically within that organizational area, perhaps a line of business or a discipline or whatever. But the value stream itself spans those many pillars within an organization.
Mm-hmm.
It could be different people from different parts of the business that are contributing or maintaining that product that has been identified as a value stream. So the first step, and this is not easy, but it's try to bring these together so that, if they own the product, then they're responsible to maintain that product and update that product, quality is probably going to get better. So we're moving from project to product. It's not a project. I get a group of people that are available. I assemble them together. We do something. We release that version of code change, and then the team is disbanded and we reassemble differently. Moving from project to product creates this ownership, sense of pride, sense of responsibility. So you start to get quality built in. Now, within you're still going to have some silos, right? You're going to have your management type of folk. You're going to have your development, your test, your operations, your release engineers, because you've assembled them together. The goal here is to break down those silos within the product team or the value stream team to be, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's around the culture and the people. And, so that's step one. And this is a difficult step. It's understanding who in your organization contributes to this value stream or product and assemble them, organize them under that value stream or product.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Next thing, we're going to look at what are the tools that make up the pipeline that they're using today in order to deliver that product, from planning, from version control, from build management, from artifact repositories, deployment automation solutions, testing solutions, release management solutions, and monitoring solutions. Because this product lives from cradle to grave, and this product team exists from cradle to grave. So we want to connect all of those different sources of truth into a managed value stream management platform that gives me that single source of truth, that control plane that allows me to look across all the tools that make up that pipeline. And when we get that data into a repository, we can then start to look at analysis capabilities and leverage AI and ML and become predictive in this is where you want to take action. And then we prioritize these opportunities for improvement, we execute against them, and then we measure. Was that, and we try to do that quickly. The faster we can do it, the faster we get the feedback so that we know that, okay, this experiment was a positive result, or we just learned a way not to do that.
Absolutely, yeah, like you highlighted earlier. No, that's fantastic. And Al, I know me and you could probably speak about this for a lot longer, but I'm guessing our time here is probably pretty much done, isn't it? So
yeah.
Hey, look, I'd like to have another chat with you about this, and I imagine the people who watch this video will be interested to see any further series. But look, Al, thank you so much. That certainly really helps, and I hope those that are watching this video and have made it this far will reach out to either myself, you, or others, and see how we can move this one forward. So no, thank you, Al. That's been really helpful, and I really hope it's been helpful for others. So thank you.
And thanks, Derek. Nice chatting with you, and thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks, Al. Take care now. Bye bye.
Bye bye.